Stop sharing.
This morning we started out with clouds, little rain in the area. The sun is starting to get out there now. These temperatures are on the rise. So we'll talk later on about what we can expect as the evening goes on into the latter days of the week. But things are, getting better outside. So let's talk about some of the things that we are going to get into. We'll be here until 4 p.m. I'm your host, Anita Blanton. In this first hour that we have here together, we're going to talk about fitness classes. Many of us take them. Many of us love them for the group effect, the communal effect of getting together, working out, having someone lead you through a workout. But usually the volume is up to a max in those classes. I'm sure you could relate. The problem is we probably don't understand the damage it could do to our hearing over time. So we're going to be talking with a representative from Beltone Hearing about the decibel levels and the dangers that come with that kind of volume over time. That should be around 1:45 when we have that discussion. Obviously, everyone's talking about the Bears right now. Where will they be? I mean, we know 2026, they'll be at Soldier Field. But after that, there's a lot of questions as to what comes next, and they should be answered very soon in the next couple of weeks. So we will be a full-scale coverage in terms of what the next decision is. We know that the Illinois legislature has just, until the 31st to try to iron something out. The House was able to get it through. The Senate, not so much yet. So, and even today, the Bears are meeting with other owners, and this is a topic of discussion. Their stadium plans are a topic of discussion. They told us that they would like to have two proposals sitting in front of them by summer. What are we talking about in the next few days? Memorial Day weekend? The legislature in Illinois has until the 31st. Shortly after that, got a lot of talking to do, a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of things to iron out, and yet we're still hearing from places like Rolling Meadows. We're going to talk to the city manager today that says, we haven't been brought to the table and we'd actually like a shot. So it's kind of as the world turns right now. There's so much going on with this. We're going to get into, what they are looking for in a deal that could come forward. The mayors of Palatine, Rolling Meadows, and Schaumburg are all kind of saying like, hey, state leaders, we need to be in on this discussion. And we're going to talk with the city manager from Rolling Meadows about their participation, their feelings on how things should proceed from here. There's a couple of live events that are going on. I believe that the vice president is speaking right now. J.D. Vance is speaking. Let's listen into maybe just 2 or 3 minutes of what he's saying to the press here before we press on.
You talk about bridging the divide. I mean, one thing that happened that hits, not quite literally close to home, but there was a very terrible shooting that happened today at a Muslim community center. It seems like 3 people are dead, plus the shooters. And, that community center is actually very close to this restaurant that Usha and I go to every time we visit. Her family lives in San Diego. She was born and raised in San Diego. Every time we go to San Diego, we go to this restaurant that is like maybe a 5-minute drive from this community center. And I found out about it actually on my way to the White House this morning. And I texted her, I said, would you have known anybody who was like involved in this? And she said, absolutely, I would have known some people, or at least their parents, who might have actually used the services at this community center. I don't know a single person who would say anything other than what I'm about to say, which is that type of violence in the United States of America is reprehensible. And I encourage every single American to pray for everybody who was involved and affected by it. We don't want that to happen in our country, and may God rest the souls of the people who lost their lives. What I do find a little distressing is that while every person I know, every politically conservative person I know would say exactly what I said about these innocent people who were killed, there were a lot of people who were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And I think one way that we can bridge the divide is just have a very simple principle in this country. Number one, we don't want the government throwing people in prison because they have bad politics, however you define bad politics. Number two, and way more importantly, political violence, wherever it comes from, is unacceptable in the United States of America. Let's talk with one another, not shoot each other when we disagree. I think that's the principle that everybody in this room agrees with. It's certainly the principle the President of the United States agrees with.
Hey, listening in there to Vice President J.D. Vance as he was asked about the horrifying shooting that took place yesterday at the Islamic Center of San Diego, the largest mosque in that county of San Diego. We know right now that three people, adults, died who were victims, including a security guard who has been hailed a hero, really, in that situation, keeping more lives from being at risk, including so many children that were led out of that building. We took it to you live right here during our show yesterday, but then also the two teenage suspects are also dead by self-inflicted wounds. So we're still getting more information about that situation. We've heard now that the mother of one of those suspects even called police when she realized her vehicle and guns were gone. And so they at least had a heads up as to they were looking for this particular young man, but they didn't have any notable threat of a particular location. And so when they got the call about what was happening there at the Islamic Center, they got there, and sure enough, that young man whose mother had called in was one of the suspects, now deceased. So again, we are looking for more information on that. Pressing on here, we're going to talk about a lawsuit for Gene Georgetti, Chicago's iconic 85-year-old steakhouse, now having some issues with a partnership that fell through. And we're starting right now in terms of our conversations with the director of the Office of Surface Mining, who is talking to us about something that's probably going to expand your mind when it comes to what's out there in Illinois. We always say you could be walking among things and not know them every day, or really, know a lot about this state, this great state, but then find out something new every day. Well, there is a mission now to reclaim abandoned coal mines, and Lanny Erdes is joining us now to talk a little bit more about OSM and what is happening from here. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you, Anita. I'm very happy to be here. Obviously, this is ironic that we're doing this today. I'm actually attending the Interstate Mining Compact Commission meeting here in Indiana today, and I have all the abandoned mine land states throughout the country with me today, 24 of them. Wow. So to talk about the abandoned mine land program, this is a good time to do it.
Lanny, to those of you all who are in this on a regular basis, obviously it's no surprise to you all how many abandoned mines we have in the state of Illinois. But I think to most of us who are just everyday citizens, we don't realize how many of them are out there. How many are we talking about now?
Well, we're talking about $10 billion worth of liability across the country. So it's a very, very big number. And we're going to be doing this at the Office of Surface Mining in the states, working with the states, our partners, for a number of years to clean these sites up. So it's a very, very big number that's going to take time to remediate.
Mm-hmm. And for the state of Illinois, that looks like $71 million in this fiscal year 2026 grant distribution. What will that allow you all to do?
Well, they'll actually allow the states to do the reclamation. So it's about $70 million this year. We're actually distributing $679 million to all the states across the country, and $70 million of that will go to Illinois. And we'll do the oversight of the AML program and the projects they decide to do. They will actually do the work, and that abandoned mine land projects, stream restoration, coal refuse cleanup, subsidence events associated with underground coal mines, those type of things. And they'll be doing that for quite some time. Our role is to work with them as a partner to ensure they have the funding to assist them as they need assistance when they're doing those projects.
What is the harm in leaving these sites unaddressed?
Well, for example, an unreclaimed high wall, which is essentially an escarpment that may be 100 feet high, vertical. Someone obviously could walk off of that high wall, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So what the state of Illinois will do is they will reclaim that high wall. In other words, they'll push spoil back up against to shoot that high wall down. So it's a gentle slope, so we don't have to worry about someone walking off of that high wall. For example, a subsidence event associated with an underground mine, someone could accidentally walk into that as well, and it could fall for 100 feet or more
Wow.
into an abandoned mine. So they will fill that in some form or fashion, however they decide to engineer that. And obviously, we want to prevent those kind of accidents from happening.
I'm seeing also that this ties into improving water quality. How is that?
That's correct. You have a lot of acid mine drainage associated with mining, generally prior to 1977, when the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act came into effect. It was actually signed by President Jimmy Carter. And associated with that, you have drainages coming out of some of these mines that actually are harmful to the environment and to the aquatic life that they're discharging into. So we have a program here at OSM working with the states to address those, to remediate those, to treat those so that that water quality improves over time and those streams come back to life.
So would you say that we're headed in the right direction where these things are concerned, or that you still have some concerns about the pace of how things are going?
No, I think we're headed in the right direction. We're working very closely with the states. We have very good relationships with states across the country. We have sufficient funds over the next 10 or 11 years to address many of those sites. So we are certainly heading in the right direction. I'm very excited about where we are today. I'm very excited about the funding that we're getting to the states and where we'll be tomorrow. So I think we're in a good place, better than we've been in years.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear. Now, when the work starts, how long does it typically take? And I'm sure it depends on the extent of issues that are there, but how long does it typically take to turn it around for people to live or work in that area again?
Again, it really depends on the project. So if it's a high wall backfill, that could take anywhere from 6 months to a year. Coal refuse reclamation may take 3 to 6 months. It just really depends on the site. But what we're very excited about is once these are remediated and reclaimed, the economic benefit to the community, the jobs that it creates, and the opportunity that it creates for those small communities, and investment and taxes that go back to, that are taxes that are generated to go back to the community. So when we've seen many sites that have been reclaimed over the years that lead to manufacturing plants being constructed, industrial parks, recreation, where parks are created, where we have campgrounds, where we have hiking, where we have fishing on lakes that have been created from mines that have been mined prior to 1977. So there are a lot of good economic benefits that come out of the reclamation that this program does.
Are there some particular projects that you kind of gave an overview of, but some particular projects that stand out in your mind that we would know here in our state that say this is what's possible?
So I think it goes across the country. Really, many of the states are doing very similar projects, and similar projects that they're doing in Illinois in regard to creating recreational areas, maybe hiking areas. As I said before, campgrounds. I think those are ones that maybe you don't know about. That's off the beaten path somewhere. That certainly needs to be promoted by the states to ensure that folks are enjoying those. So Illinois is doing some of that. All the other states are doing some of that as well.
So how do you all secure the funding to keep doing this work?
We have the funds are appropriated to us. We have the funds associated with the Abandoned Mine Land Program, or the AML program, that are in account with us to the tune of between $9 and $10 billion, I believe, are in that account now. So we'll disperse those funds over the next 11 years, $679 million a year to the 24 states that are eligible for those funds. So those funds came from the Treasury, and they are now in an OSM account for us to disperse.
Lanny, not getting in your business, but you did tell us you're meeting with several others in the state of Indiana right now. So what are some of the major topics that you all are going over?
We're talking about a lot of things we're talking here, but we're also talking about Title IV's AML program, the Abandoned Mine Land program. We also have a Title V program, which is a regulatory program that states administer as well, and we provide oversight to that. So we're talking about both of those programs, all the various things that go into those programs. Generally in Title V, the regulatory program, it's always about funding. It's always about money to run those programs. So we're working with the states to ensure they have sufficient funds to run their Title V program. But we have a lot of conversation relative to Title IV as well. It's a very active program with a lot of different things going on in the various states. and ensuring that that the money's reached them when it needs to reach them. So we have 3 pots of monies from in the AML world that goes out to the states, and we talk about that to ensure they have the money when they need the money to do these projects. So some of that conversation is taking place.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the midst of the conversations you're having there. We appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Again, everyone, that was Lanny Erdis, Director of the Office of Surface Mining. Really interesting stuff about things that are happening in our state and well beyond. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to hop into this discussion about Gene Georgetti having to take some legal action. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:18 right now, and who doesn't love Gene Georgetti? It's an iconic steakhouse here in the city. Fantastic food, and who wouldn't want it to be like everywhere they could be? But apparently a partnership to actually take it out to Midway Airport is experiencing some snags. In fact, it's led to legal action. I want to go ahead and bring in Michelle Derpetti, the 3rd generation principal of Gene Georgetti, to tell us more about what's going on. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Tell me about your connection to Gene Georgetti.
So I am actually the 3rd generation managing partner of the restaurant. So Gene was my maternal grandfather. He's my mom's dad. And he started the restaurant in 1941 with his dear friend and partner, Georgetti, whose name was actually Alfredo, but his nickname was Georgetti. And they ran it together until 1969. Then when Georgetti passed away, Gene ran it on his own until 1989, at which time, upon his death, my parents actually purchased it from my grandmother, Ida, who was Gene's widow at the time, to keep it in the family. And it's been in my family that entire time. So like I said, I'm the third generation and the first woman in the family to be the owner operator.
You go, girl. I love it. It's a beautiful family story, and
Thank
it is
you.
an honor to speak with you today, although I wish you were under better circumstances. So
You and me both.
Yeah. So what's going on? You all were in talks to go out to Midway Airport in a type of way. Tell me more.
So actually, no. So it's kind of a longer story than that. So about 5 years ago, even maybe before that, let's say about 7 years ago, somewhere between like 2016 and like 2018, prior to my being in the role of managing partner, a concessionaire approached us about a licensing agreement. So for those of you that don't know, a concessionaire is basically a company that takes a combination of nationally recognized commercial brands and very local, beloved independent brands and combines them in proposals that they pitch to airports to be able to provide the food and beverage that you see at airports. So that's what a concessionaire does. It happens like in stadiums, airports, places like that. And so we were approached by SSP as an independent, very beloved Chicago brand to be part of their bid to get the business, which was the revitalization of Midway at the time. And they came after us, very aggressively, say we were very romanced at the time. My father was in charge at that time, and we had a different managing partner as well. Like I said, I didn't have this role. And we ultimately negotiated a contract that included us providing our recipes, menu, operational know-how, branding, basically insights on the construction of the project, what it would look like, what it's going to taste like, sound like, feel like, all of that. And then in exchange for all of that brand equity and know-how and knowledge and sort of Chicago status, for lack of a better way to put it, they then manage the property in the airport, they manage the concept, and we get a percentage of sales. And so that's how it started.
So if we were to see it in Midway, would it have you all's name on it?
So the concept is called Gene's Bistro, and during COVID is when the concept opened. If you want me to take you a little bit through like how we got to now, like in 30 seconds or less. Yeah. So essentially what happened was this. Throughout the contract, so we were approached during COVID and they basically said to us, look, you're the biggest property, you're the biggest piece that we have in this bid that we've now won. You're the largest restaurant, and you're also the most finished construction-wise. So we'd like to open you. We said, great, and they said it's COVID. Now keep in mind, this is a global, publicly traded company, so they are very much Goliath in this illustration that I'm kind of sketching for you. Okay, they come to us, an independent restaurant, at the height of COVID, when, as you know, all restaurants were sort of going off a cliff. Who wasn't really, right? And they're like, listen, we want to open this concept, but we need 3 things. We're going to need you to abate the first year that you would be receiving payments. We don't want you to receive those because we want to keep them. We're going to need to talk about that upfront licensing fee. We'd like to see that go away. And by the way, the menu that the contract required you as Gene Georgetti to create, we'd really like to not use that and use something that's in the commissary kitchen so we can get up and running. Oh. We said yes, because we wanted to be a good partner. Okay? So throughout these last 5 years, the property, the location is basically run like that. And we've noticed that there were some obligations that just weren't being met. And ultimately, in October of last year, a lot of this came to a head because we were notified that they were then terminating the agreement. And the reason I'm here today is because as an independent restaurant, you sign an agreement like this with a concessionaire with the hope of growing your business, right? You don't sign it realizing that there's going to be some massive exchange of power and that you're going to be very marginalized pretty much throughout the process, especially if something better comes along. And that's kind of what brings us here today.
They felt like something better than Gene and Georgetti came around?
Well, I mean, you and I might have different opinions about that, and I'm no expert, right? And I'm not a political expert, and I'm not an airport expert. I'm just a family-run, owner-operated restaurant sort of expert, right? What I can tell you is this: the timing of it all was very interesting. In October, for example, you might remember all of that hullabaloo with regards to what may be going in the space instead of us, right? We know, for example, that Bally's Casino is in Chicago. We know that they have always had conversations and expressed interest in potentially pursuing something in the airport. Here's us with this full disclosure, a clause in the contract that should have been negotiated out and wasn't on either party that allowed them to terminate without cause. So this wasn't about lack of sales or anything like that. And here we are. And throughout this process, right? Now, we get to that point, but in those 5 years, we experienced like us asking questions, say about, I don't know, sales reports, because we get a percentage of sales, but do we know if that's correct? Don't know, because we didn't get a response when we'd ask for sales reports. Anytime we'd want to communicate something, hey, how's the menu going? Can we maybe go back to the menu we wanted? No response. So very marginalized, very sort of put on the back burner while they just ran the concept until potentially something more interesting came along.
Gotcha. And this was supposed to be a 20-year agreement?
Correct. 20 years, so we were 5 years into a 20-year deal. And at the onset of us speaking today, when I mentioned those 3 concessions, one of the big things that they told us when they asked us for those 3 favors was, don't worry, this is a long-term agreement. You have 20 years. In some form or another, that will come back because you're going to be here a long time. None of us are going anywhere. And there was this constant promise of the longevity of the relationship. So we should concede to these 3 favors, essentially, that they were asking, because the relationship was long-term and we would have nothing to worry about.
Okay, so the legal action.
Yes.
When did you all file, and what are you hoping comes from it?
So we filed, I believe it was Monday at like 9:11 a.m. was officially when it filed. And I think, we brought, as Gene Georgetti, and as all independent restaurants do in these scenarios, enormous value to this project. The restaurant provided recipes, menus, expertise, operational guidance, branding, goodwill, and just decades of reputation to help them win this bid. Okay? They then win the bid, and then we're discounted. And I think the reason I'm doing this is I want that story told. Right now, again, talking about timing, one of the most interesting things is that one of the largest, if not the largest, airport revitalization project, like in the history of ever, is happening right here in Chicago with O'Hare. And from what we know, any day now, they could release initial, I think, winners of some, like bid winners of some of these terminals or something. Some of the business might get announced who's won it. And I just thought, it's really important, given the fact that SSP was not transparent, given the fact that they did not provide financial reporting, they didn't really collaborate at all, let alone in like with good intentions. Given all of that, I really wanted the story told, because there's probably other independent restaurants out there in Chicago and beyond that have partnered with this brand, and they should be aware at how quickly the exchange of like power and how quickly that marginalization can happen. I think it's really important to tell that story.
Have you heard at all from this company? I mean, have they tried to explain this at all to you all?
No. And for the record, since October, we made every effort. No one wants to file a lawsuit. Nobody wants to be sitting in my shoes right now. I don't want to be sitting in my shoes, but I'm sitting here because it's that important. And I think at the end of the day, when a company uses your name, your legacy, your reputation to win a major bit of business and promises a long-term partnership and then sort of just walks away without even considering you, I think you need to stand up and speak for yourself. We've tried multiple times to get them to come to the table through diplomatic channels, direct requests, and it was basically ignored every time. And so we really were left with no other choice but to file in this way, and to really address the breaches of contract and, the misrepresentation, the fact that we've given trade secrets, and the fact that the concept is still running even after we were notified that they were terminating. All of that needed to be public, and it needs to be a conversation, and we were tired of being ignored.
Are you asking them to change the name on the business now?
So again, I'm not an airport expert, and I know there's a process to how all of that works when they rebrand a concept. So what I can tell you is what we would have loved is to have had a face-to-face where we come, to a table. And my dad used to always say, reasonable people come to reasonable solutions. Right now, I'm doubting whether or not this organization is reasonable, which is why we filed this lawsuit, because we now want legally to have the conversation. And eventually, I'm hoping for a conclusion. It's all sort of listed in the complaint. We don't know that moving forward as a continued as is the right move for us personally. I mean, the only thing you have in life is your reputation. And so for us, we have to protect the brand. So yeah, I think at this point it's safe to say we'd rather not move forward, but that doesn't mean we don't want to have a conversation with them, and it doesn't mean that there aren't some things we need to work out first.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, all of the development that's happening out at O'Hare, being stuck or trying to figure out this 20-year agreement, the 15 years that are left on it. Would you all have been trying to make a bid for O'Hare if it weren't for being held up in this?
So the interesting answer to that question is we do have some involvement at O'Hare with a different concessionaire because we learned from our mistakes.
All right. Okay. Very interesting. Well, please keep us up to date on where things go with this.
Absolutely. Thanks for the chance to tell the story.
Absolutely. Hate that this is a part of the story.
Thank you.
But it seems like, in 85 years, your restaurant, your family has weathered many storms. So I'm sure there will be some light at the end of this tunnel as well.
Yeah. We hope so too. And again, it's because of the city that we're loving us so much that we're able to have the support we have to tell these stories. So thank you for letting us do it. And we can't thank our customers enough, and our team who always support everything that we do.
Wonderful speaking with you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Take care. 1:31, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. Well, we're noting that there is a Senate committee hearing that's taking place, but our next scheduled conversation is about the Bears Stadium, so you do not want to miss that. All right, 1:33 right now, and the Bears conversation, the stadium conversation is at a fever pitch, right? We watched all of the ins and outs when Indiana was coming together and putting something together to make sure they had a real shot at getting the Bears to build in Hammond. In the beginning stages of even that, we heard maybe somewhere else other than Hammond, but everyone kind of coalesced around one thing, and they said, all right, our best shot is Hammond. We've got two and a half-ish weeks left for the legislature here in Illinois, and still haven't come to a consensus as to how the legislature is going to try to keep the Bears even in the state of Illinois at this point in time. But a few people are having their say right now. We have the city manager for Rolling Meadows. Rob, is it Sabo? Sabo? Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. I know that the mayors of Palatine, Rolling Meadows, and Schaumburg were all kind of saying, now, wait. We need to have a say in this. Tell me you all's position.
Of course. Well, I'll start by saying that we believe that the Chicago Bears football team should be in state of Illinois. First and foremost, the pride and joy of Illinois belongs, they belong here in the Chicago area, right? And Arlington Heights is the location for the team. We think it's a much better location than Hammond, Indiana. They should be here on our front doorstep to Rolling Meadows and Arlington Heights. With respect to where the project is at currently, the letters that came from the city of Rolling Meadows jointly with the villages of Schaumburg and Palatine ultimately talk about the need for infrastructure planning, specifically the need to complete a traffic study that will help dictate the kind of traffic impacts our communities stand to take on as people come and go from the stadium property, not only for football games, but for events, potentially a Super Bowl, as well as people who are going to be enjoying the mixed use development that will be a part of that property. And so we are supportive of the Bears moving forward with Arlington Heights as their new home. However, we believe that thoughtful consideration and assistance from the state ultimately with respect to infrastructure funding is important in order to make this project work, not only for us here in Rolling Meadows or in Schaumburg or Palatine, but for the region as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a seat at the table would say, we need these issues addressed as you all put your bid together, or hey, we're supportive of the plan, just make sure these are the things we get out of it in the end. Like, which one? Is it up front, these are the things we need to address, or we're supportive of Arlington Heights getting it, but just note that we need to get something when this is said and done?
Well, we're not here advocating saying we just want a seat at the table. We truly see that there are direct impacts to our communities with respect to the way that our communities live their day-to-day lives. When Arlington Park Racetrack ran races, when the Arlington Million ran, we already had seen traffic backups along 53 and on Euclid. And at that time, the way that the infrastructure is configured here, it was able to support it. We're talking about a significant jump in the amount of traffic and the number of people that are coming into the area. Mm-hmm. I think a little known fact amongst Chicago residents is that Arlington Park, while located geographically within the village of Arlington Heights, it actually is almost a peninsula that juts out and is surrounded on three sides by rolling meadows, and a portion of it is also bounded by the village of Palatine. The village of Schaumburg is also nearby within close proximity. And so our communities collectively are going to see a significant change to the way that our residents live their day-to-day lives. And beyond that, the way that people are going to get to the stadium is going to utilize roadways that come through our communities, whether there are local roads that we maintain or the roads that are maintained by the Cook County Department of Highways or IDOT. And so we have been advocating from day one, when the Bears announced originally that they were planning on moving forward with the Arlington Park project, that we needed to see a traffic study that would help us understand exactly what the infrastructure needs would be for the property. Beyond roadways, we're also talking about water needs in order to provide all of the water needed, not only for the stadium, but the entire development, as well as drainage and sewers. You know, when we start to think about the without this development, we wouldn't necessarily need additional drainage. And the property itself is located along Salt Creek, a major natural water drainage area within our area. We are definitely thinking about, how do we ensure that our residents and our communities don't take on additional stormwater? How do we make sure that there is ample sewers to handle additional displacement of water? There's all of these different components that go into thoughtful, smart development that most developers are doing right off the cuff. Because of some of the strategies that have been approached by the Bears with respect to trying to navigate and negotiate the mega projects bill, some of these initiatives have kind of been held off on, right? They've put their pencils down in order to focus on the legislative needs that they have. But ultimately, our communities really are having growing concerns by the fact that the clock is ticking and that we don't want to be in a position where we're rushing through these details. They're things that need thoughtful approach, thoughtful analysis, and ample funding, which we on our own can't complete on our own. We're relying on the state, and that's why we're asking for a seat at the table to have these robust conversations to make sure it's done right.
And when you voiced these concerns before, what was the response that you were met with?
So we have communicated both with the Chicago Bears as well as our neighbors in Arlington Heights about the need for these infrastructure components to be discussed and ultimately addressed. And we have been told, of course, we understand that. We've also taken that message to Springfield and spoke with our legislators as well as individuals within the governor's office. And across the board, we've heard responses from everyone saying we understand the need. There's still much to be discussed, and there's a certain amount of components that go into this. And we respect the legislature and the governor's office and their approach towards handling the mega projects bill. Where we really are asking for what is now a timely seat at the table is that as the Bears project hopefully comes to fruition here in Illinois, that as the infrastructure is planned, that it's not simply just left to the Chicago Bears to decide which roadways are going to be expanded or where sewers are going to be laid, but instead a collaborative approach that involves the villages of Palatine, Schaumburg, the city of Rolling Meadows, and the village of Arlington Heights working together alongside the Bears to get a project done that addresses all of the traffic needs coming to that facility. One thing that I think is important to note, there's a lot of reliance on this idea that the railroad will provide a access point for people getting to and from the facility along Metro, which we believe is a very big benefit to that site. However, as people choose to go to a football game and they want to tailgate, or they're coming from a location where Metro isn't within easy access, we do anticipate that we're going to see a lot of traffic coming into our area. And so we want to make sure that those people who are new visitors to our communities are having the best experience possible, right? We don't want them to come to a game or be leaving a game and be trapped for hours on end like our peers and friends up in Lambeau Field in Wisconsin. We want that experience to work really easily and smoothly. And to do that, it involves all of our communities working collaboratively and not being forced into a corner in the 11th hour, no pun intended in a football joke, but, trying to throw a Hail Mary in the fourth quarter to try to get this thing right. There's just not enough time in the 11th hour to make these kind of projects come together in a way that truly supports not only the local residents, but all the visitors who are going to be coming as well.
But do you not think we're in the fourth quarter right now?
We are in the fourth quarter with respect to the mega projects bill, but that is simply one piece of this entire project, right? That is a component that the Bears have said they need that the tax certainty in order to move forward with this project. However, there's a few more years before their lease with Soldier Field with the city of Chicago expires, and we don't want to see this drag out. Ultimately, when we are communicating with the state, we know that there are simultaneous tracks happening with the legislative approach. There's the mega projects bill, which is being negotiated that relates to the property taxes for that property. And then there's the secondary component of it, which is the infrastructure funding. Where we are advocating right now and asking to be involved is decision-making and appropriations decisions from the state with respect to how the capital funding is going to be distributed. So there was an ask, I think it was reported that there was about an $850 million request from the Bears for infrastructure fund. We believe that by simply just writing an $800 million check to the Bears organization and letting them then decide how to move forward with infrastructure would be short-sighted, because many of these projects do involve the state routes, IDOT, it'll involve the 5390 interchange along the tollway. It'll involve a lot of government entities working together to make this come together. And so that's where we are saying we want to be at the table as those infrastructure allotments and the appropriations are made, so that the planning and the infrastructure that's built is really thoughtfully done, while at the same time being supportive of the Bears trying to move forward with this project and not necessarily getting in the way of it, but making sure that it's the best possible outcome.
So let me ask you this. In the conversations that you all are having, and it does seem like you're saying, hey, we support this, but don't forget about us. In like get the bill done, but remember that we need to be a part of what moving forward looks like. How confident are you that the Illinois legislature is going to even get this mega projects bill signed, over to the governor's desk and signed by May 31st?
Yeah, for clarity's sake, I'm speaking for the city of Rolling Meadows when I'm coming out and saying supportive. I just want to make that clarification ultimately. But as far as confidence in the legislature's ability, so it came out of the House, and the Bears came out and said that as it was adopted out of the House, there were changes that they felt needed to be made in order for it to meet what they are looking for. The Senate has been working on the bill for quite some time now, and we understand that those negotiations are ongoing. There are a couple weeks left, but we believe that the Senate will be thoughtful in their approach and ultimately work with their House colleagues to accomplish a bill that will ultimately keep the Bears in Illinois. Governor Pritzker has made it clear that he believes that the Bears are meant to stay here in the state of Illinois and not move to Indiana. Again, at the City of Rolling Meadows, we're supportive of that initiative. We believe that the legislature will be able to work this out. I mean, 2 weeks is not a long period of time with respect to calendar days, but we're hopeful that our representatives and senators down in Springfield are going to be able to pull this off so that we can keep the pride and joy of Illinois here in Arlington Heights next door to Rolling Meadows, as opposed to having to cross the border into Hammond, Indiana.
All right, time is ticking, and the end of the game is coming up very fast. Thank you so much.
Great.
We appreciate you being here with us. We'll see how things shape up over the next couple of weeks.
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate the time. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Everyone, it's 1:45. Before we go to break here, I want to let you know, one, that we are awaiting a press conference to start in San Diego shortly here. You can see that they have the setup right now. The reporters are there in the room looking for updated information from the authorities there about that horrible attack at the Islamic Center of San Diego that took place yesterday. So as soon as they begin that press conference, we'll try to get there live so that we can hear what information they have for us today. That should be starting shortly. Also here at home, though, we have our chopper up, Sky Fox, over a crash in Lisle. Ooh, look at that. Okay, you can see there is a semi. The bed of it is on its side. Actually, the whole thing, but it's kind of cut into two right now, on its side. And right now, we don't know what it was carrying, was carrying, but obviously, as you can see here from this site, they're first responders there on the roadway, and no traffic is getting by. So this just happened. Again, this is in Lisle. Looks like there's another vehicle off in the woods. Look at that as we zoom in. So we've got a lot of pieces of the puzzle we still need to put together in terms of whether there are injuries or even more significant, of a situation that's happened here. So as we get that information in, we'll pass that along to you. Again, in Lisle, this accident involving a semi-truck and another vehicle there. But this press conference in San Diego is beginning now, it looks like. So let's listen in.
I don't think there's anyone talking as bald as me, so don't worry about the light.
Oh. Check in the mic, it looks like.
I've had my head powdered by some of your crews before.
Okay, he's just checking the mics there. So we're still standing by for that press conference to happen. So let's go ahead and take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:50 right now. Still waiting on that San Diego press conference to begin. We actually just heard them give a 10-minute notice. So, again, just as soon as it begins, we'll get back to that press conference there in San Diego so that we can hear more information about that horrible incident that took place at the Islamic Center of San Diego yesterday. While we are waiting on our next guest also to join us here, I'm going to tell you about a few of the things that are populating on our website right now. Some things you may want to check out in the hours to come here. We have one story up about a Chicago area restaurant owner robbed at gunpoint. The video has been making its rounds online because it's so scary. I mean, just watching it and thinking, like, what if you were the person on the other end of that gun? Very scary stuff here. Very clear footage, and I think that's why it's resonating with people so much. And so we have this, and we have a brief kind of overview of what we know about it thus far. The surveillance video is also posted there. The owner says the robber stole about $10,000 worth of jewelry here, including a sentimental law school graduation ring. This was in Melrose Park. They say no arrests have been made, but again, very clear video. So detectives do have a person of interest, and we'll see where things go from here. So again, that's on our website, fox32chicago.com. I'll tell you about some of the other things that are there, but I believe that our expert is here now. We have Ben Keeling of the Schaumburg Belltone hearing, who's joining us to talk about this new study showing that group fitness classes, the music volume in particular during the class, may be hurting people's hearing. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, okay. All right. So he's still logging on. All right. So we're still waiting on him. Just as soon as he's here, so I'll go over a couple of the other stories that we have on our website. I was thinking he was here and we were going to switch over to him, but we also have information. This came first thing this morning about a body that was found in Des Plaines. It's now been identified as a missing Glenview man, according to police. Albert Lieberman, 88 years old. He was reported missing April 24th. He was walking away from his home the night before, prompted a silver alert and an extensive search effort. But you think April 24th, we're now on May 19th. Think about what his family has gone through in that time period and know this was not the outcome they would want that we got today, but surveillance video showed him his last known location near Gulf Mills Shopping Center in Niles, early April 24th, and authorities say that May 14th, a man found dead in Des Plaines, now they say is Lieberman, Albert Lieberman, 88 years old. Again, hard to think of what his family has gone through over the last several weeks here. Hopefully this at least provides a little closure. Again, Albert Lieberman reported missing April 24th. I was kind of reading forward because I assumed and didn't want to say, but had cognitive impairment. Listen, there's so many families out there dealing with this. My family dealt with this before. Blessings to the caretakers out there. It's a very hard role. But they determined that he walked away from his house at 9:46 p.m. on that day. And so they have been using surveillance video and canine search teams and daily search efforts in an attempt to locate Mr. Lieberman. Again, Cook County Sheriff's Police investigators are continuing to investigate this, but we at least know that the body found in Des Plaines is the missing man. So a bit of closure for the family, although maybe not the information that they wanted to hear, but they're the outcome that they wanted, but at least they know now instead of wondering. Our prayers to them. Also, we have a story up about a Chicago dog daycare owner. Be clear on that. Charged with animal torture now. We have his picture up on our website. This was Bark Avenue Play Care, and they advertise that they have a loving staff. They've been around for 2 decades, but again, now the facility is closed because the owner has allegedly tortured animals. If you think about taking your pet to a place like this, you probably consider them a member of your family. So these are also very hard things that are very hard for people to hear. So this man, Daniel McElroy, has been arrested, charged with animal torture. He appeared for a detention hearing at the Layton Criminal Courthouse. So that's what we know thus far. We have a little bit more information there, some sound from people who were taking their dogs to this location as well. All of that on our website, fox32chicago.com. I will share with you more of the stories that are populating on our website as we go forward in the next couple of hours that we have here. But right now we do have some live pictures of the Simi Valley fire. We took you high up above this fire shortly after it started yesterday, and we really anticipated that by today we would be saying that this was out. We want to say there were maybe 180 acres yesterday that had burned and no containment at the time, but you just hoped that by today it would be a different picture. But look at that.
All the way up.
Look at that.
Going all the way up.
They were evacuating people yesterday during this time when we started to take you to these pictures, and those evacuation orders continue. Really, they've ramped up, really. So again, 180 acres yesterday that had burned with no containment. Today we're at 1,400 acres that have burned and destroyed homes and prompted these evacuation orders. Threatening so many neighborhoods in this area, and again, just continuing to grow, still not contained.
I wonder if we're still live. I know Mark is.
As you look at that, I mean, that smoke just billowing high up into the air here. Again, the evacuation orders are continuing today. First personnel that were on the scene described the blaze and said, again, the gusty winds were a big part of the issue here. So not just the dry conditions, but the gusty conditions in this area were also part of this. Again, this is in California. I mean, look at that. As they zoom out and then start to zoom back in on that left-hand side, yesterday we could see lots of the helicopters and the aircraft that were going in the air to try to drop water on these sites. 500 firefighters that have been assigned to this, multiple helicopters, air tankers. They're dropping the water, they're dropping the retardant on the flames. So much work yet still to do. But this is the scene right now. And those firefighters, I mean, they're coming from all over the state to work on this. This one fire there in the Simi Valley that's now burned nearly 1,400 acres, continuing to grow in large part because of the wind that's in the area and the dry vegetation that's out there as well. Definitely have their hands full. So we're certainly hoping that all of the first responders that are responding out there will be okay in the midst of all of this, and that, you know, even though the homes are threatened, you can, you know, file an insurance claim, you can rebuild a life, but we're certainly hoping that all lives will be spared in all of this. But this is day 2 now that they have been fighting this. I'm still not seeing anything about containment at this point, and even as we get close, you can see the flames still at it right now, despite the major efforts that are underway to get this fire under control. It is just about 2 o'clock. Again, we're waiting on that press conference in San Diego to begin. Should be happening shortly. We're going to take a 2-minute break and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 2:02 right now. Plenty to come in this next hour ahead. A lot of us love our Fitbits. A lot of us humans, we love our Fitbits, and maybe we love them so much that that's exactly why the really forward-thinking, high-tech companies are starting to look into smart pet tech, including a Fitbit for animals now. And so we're going to talk a little bit about it, see if maybe it's something you would want at some point in time for your furry friends. That's coming up around 2:30. We're also going to talk a little bit about our headlines, and we've got to start with a story that is a bit troubling, if you will. We know that concerts, people love to go to them all the time, and you go to a concert anticipating that you'll have great music, that you'll have a great time, that it'll be a memory that you will want to have in your mind forever. But there is a complaint right now that we've got to talk about, even though it has an extremely disturbing nature, that a minor was sexually assaulted during a concert there at the Credit Union 1 Amphitheater in Tinley Park in 2025, July 22nd of 2025. I have Molly Condon Wells, partner at the law firm Wallace Miller, who is joining me now to take us through the details of this complaint. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. So to piggyback on what you said today, we filed a lawsuit in the Circuit Court of Cook County against Live Nation Entertainment, Live Nation Chicago, and Live Nation Worldwide related to what we allege occurred happened to our client at the Credit Union 1 Amphitheater last summer at a Wiz Khalifa concert.
Let me ask you what your initial reaction was when you heard about this.
It was shock. It was upset. I think that any person is shocked when they hear about a concert being sexually assaulted. This is a place that, as you noted, is somewhere that you go to have fun, to enjoy music. And a minor should not go to a concert and have their night end in a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm. Explain a little of how you all believe this happened.
So there actually is a pending criminal case. And so with respect to the particular details, I'm really not at liberty to discuss that at this time, but we have said in our complaint that our client was brought to an area that should have been restricted, and that is where the assault occurred.
Mm-hmm. And there's a criminal complaint. Was that filed immediately before things got to you all?
The criminal case, I really can't speak to the particular details, but what I can talk about is our civil case, which is filed against those Live Nation entities. And, we are hoping that this case will allow us to get some information, in particular discovery is what it's called, the legal concept, in order to support our case.
I guess I was just trying to get to whether they were kind of coinciding, if they were going through at the same time, these two cases, or if one was ahead of another one. So as you all have been doing your discovery, as you have been looking into the amphitheater, Live Nation, what are some of the lapses that you have documented?
So we are aware that there was security footage at the amphitheater at that point in time, and one of the allegations that we've made in our complaint is that footage was not being monitored in real time, or if it was not being appropriately monitored, because this is something that should have been seen if the video footage was being monitored. We've also identified that in our complaint that this restricted area was not being adequately monitored and did not have a security personnel preventing someone or individuals from going into this restricted area. And what we hope to find out through the course of this case is additional information to support our claims.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing here some very troubling things in terms of what you all documented as a history of security failures. May of 2017, 22 people. And you all are kind of looking at Live Nation as a whole. So you're looking at 22 people killed when a suicide bomber detonated a bomb at the Ariana Grande concert that was promoted by Live Nation. Also in 2017, 60 people that were killed, and approximately 867 that were injured when a mass shooting occurred at a Jason Aldean concert promoted by Live Nation, which became the deadliest mass shooting in American history. November of 2021, 10 people died after a crowd surge at that Astroworld Festival hosted by Live Nation. What overall are you hoping comes from this? I mean, with this documentation that you all are providing?
So part of what we must do in our civil case is show that there was some notice with respect to safety and security concerns that Live Nation was aware of, and what is known in the public sphere with respect to safety and security concerns is that they do have a documented history of issues happening at their venues, including at Tinley Park and at that particular venue. And again, what we will uncover during the course of this case is hopefully additional security concerns that they were aware of and did not address.
Mm-hmm. And have you all had any response from Live Nation thus far? I mean, do you see this as someone said earlier, like a David and Goliath?
So we, as part of filing a case under the law, they're required to respond, and we will find out what their position is when we get that filing.
Okay. What, if I may ask, if you can say, how do you reassure a young woman who has been through such a horrible ordeal that what you're doing, even if she hears about these incidents that may have happened in other places that involve large numbers of people, how do you assure her that this case will address her?
So if you are buying a ticket to a concert, you have a right to know that the venue is taking safety seriously. And so this lawsuit is an opportunity for Live Nation to answer to that question in open court.
I couldn't imagine being 16 and going through something like this. What's been accused here is extremely, painful. And how is this young woman now?
This has profoundly impacted her life, and without invading her privacy and respecting the fact that this is incredibly personal and private, I will leave it at that, because her life has been forever changed as a result of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for telling us more about you all's side of things. Again, I do want to remind everyone that there is also the criminal investigation that we mentioned at the top of this that will proceed. But when do you expect to know anything? I mean, how long do you think this could play out from this side of things?
It's really hard to predict. Sometimes civil litigation can take many years, but we will do whatever is necessary to work this case up appropriately.
Well, I'm sure she and her family hope so. We do as well. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Please keep us updated.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mm-hmm. Take care. It's 2:11, everyone, and that press conference in San Diego has just begun, so we're going to listen in.
We have never, ever expected such thing to happen at the Islamic Center of San Diego. I mean, we are used to receiving hate mails, hate messages, people driving by and cursing and all that stuff. But such horrible crime, we have never expected this. Even though we tried throughout the years everything we could do, applying for Homeland Security grants. We have a fence, security armed guards, security cameras covering every single spot inside and outside the Islamic Center. What could we do more than this? So this is what my community is going through at this time. My community is mourning. My community is keeping our three heroes in their prayers. My community is around the three families, trying to show support and sympathy. So this is what happened at the Islamic Center, and these are our three heroes. Please keep them in your prayers. Thank you.
Let me say that the collaborative response and approach to yesterday's event has been overwhelming. I know that we've had support from the U.S. Attorney's Office, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, from the San Diego County District Attorney's Office, from every law enforcement agency here in San Diego County. Investigators have been working through the night. And here to talk about some of the details and things that we've developed over the last 24 hours is the Special Agent in charge of the FBI here in San Diego, Mark Remley.
Thank you all for coming. My name is Mark Remley. I am the Special Agent in charge of the FBI San Diego Field Office. First, I want to reiterate our deepest condolences to the victims and their families for the horrific incident they suffered yesterday. Violence for any reason will never be the answer. The victims who lost their lives yesterday were there to help others, be part of a community that came together in peace. Instead, they were confronted by teenagers who appear to have been radicalized online to believe that they didn't belong because of how they looked or where they worshiped. They couldn't be more wrong. The FBI takes very seriously any violence, and we refuse to give these subjects a platform to try to inflict their hateful beliefs onto others. We will not stand idly by and give their hate any credibility. We are thoroughly investigating this case to learn everything we can and will not stop until we get to the bottom of what happened and why. But we also want to learn how this happened and what we can do to stop future acts of violence. FBI personnel are working diligently on this case to uncover everything we can about the subjects. I want to thank all the employees of the FBI San Diego Field Office and the U.S. Attorney's Office who worked tirelessly throughout the night. Our SWAT team, our evidence response team, special agents, intelligence analysts, professional staff worked side by side with our San Diego Police Department to collect every piece of evidence and review every piece of information we have so far. Here's what I can share with you that we know at this time about the case. In coordination with the San Diego Police Department, we're currently conducting extensive interviews with the subject's family and friends. We've executed 3 search warrants at residences associated with the subjects. During those searches, we found and seized numerous firearms from 2 of those locations, including numerous pistols, rifles, shotguns, ammunition, tactical gear, as well as electronics. So far in this investigation, we've seized over 30 guns and a crossbow. We're continuing to process the information from all the locations, and we will provide more information when we're able to do so. We've also executed search warrants on the electronic devices the subjects had with them at the time of the incident, and we're in the process of obtaining additional search warrants for additional devices. In the vehicle they used, we also identified writings and various ideologies outlining religious and racial beliefs of how the world they envisioned should look. These subjects did not discriminate on who they hated. And let me be very clear, to anyone that thinks that they can end the world through violence, they are sorely mistaken. The FBI, our law enforcement partners in our community are much stronger than you think, and we will always serve on the right of good. I want to thank all of our law enforcement partners who responded to yesterday's shooting without hesitation. Truly, the quick work of the San Diego Police Department in tracking down the subject's vehicle and their instincts in intercepting the subjects helped keep a horrific situation from being far worse. We are grateful to all of our partners. We couldn't do it without them. We'll continue to work closely with all of our partners through this investigation until we get all the answers we all deserve. Again, we also want to thank the public for their patience, and we ask you to continue submitting information by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or submitting any photos, digital evidence, or images you may have to fbi.gov/Islamic Center of San Diego shooting. Lastly, our victim specialists are available, and we're getting reinforcements from headquarters today to assist anyone in this community who was impacted by the shooting. This is in addition to the resources the San Diego Police Department and the District Attorney's Office are already making available. For that, I'll turn it over to the Chief.
At the forefront of today's message and our collective direction moving forward is to bring this community back together again. And here, as the mayor and as a person that deeply cares about what is happening here in this city, Mayor Todd Gloria.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you all for being here. Imam Taha, thank you so much for sharing your testimony and your witness and letting your fellow San Diegans know more about these three extraordinary men who, as you just heard, sacrificed their own lives in order to protect the children that were at that school and many others who could have otherwise been harmed by these two shooters. I want to be very clear that those two young men do not represent our city. These three Muslim men do. Their heroism, their selflessness represents the very best of this city. And Imam, you've said that your community is mourning. I'm here to say very specifically, our entire city is mourning. And we will mourn these three heroes for what they are, heroes. And we will remember their sacrifice always. I want to express my appreciation to our public safety professionals. Chief Wall, you and your department have done an exceptional job. And I want the people of this city to know that we are protected by the very best. We fund them, we train them, and we equip them to do their jobs. And you saw yesterday, they did their jobs and they did it exceptionally well. Under Chief Wall's leadership, with the partnership of Sheriff Martinez and our District Attorney Stephan, as well as our partners at the state and federal level, what you see is a level of collaboration that you don't see anywhere else in this country. And that collaboration is what makes us one of the safest big cities in America. My hat's off to every officer who responded to that incident yesterday. I thank you for what you do. I have the utmost respect for what you do, and I thank you on behalf of all the residents of our city. Lastly, I would like to say to my fellow San Diegans, this is a time for us to come together. This pain is unimaginable. And for many of our community, specifically our Muslim brothers and sisters, they need our care, our comfort, our concern, and our support. And I, for one, am here to make sure that they receive it. Charitable funds have been established through the Islamic Center of San Diego to help support the families of these three men. There'll be other ways to support them and to show your support in the coming days. And I ask folks to take advantage of those opportunities to show what we are, which is America's finest city, a place on the U.S.-Mexican border, along the Pacific Rim, a place of extreme diversity. And all of us know that we're made better because of that diversity. Now is a time not to divide ourselves, as the two murderers yesterday are attempting to do, but instead to come together as one San Diego, and now more than ever, to express our solidarity with our Muslim brothers and sisters in this time of great need. I know that we will do this because we've done it before, we will do it again. And lastly, again, in memory of the three men that were lost yesterday, they represent the very best of the city. Let them always be remembered as the heroes that they are. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open up to some questions.
Just to be clear on the timeline, you talked about in great detail all the heroic actions of all three of these men. We know that the shooters didn't make it in the front entrance of the center, but they didn't go further than that. Did they leave the center because the guard had slowed them down and got the building on lockdown, and so they couldn't get any further than that?
Thank you, Trevor. So the question for everybody is, what depth into the facility, into the mosque, did the shooters actually go? What we've learned after reviewing extensive video from yesterday's events, when they engaged the security guard outside, they began to make entry into the front lobby while they were engaging in a gun battle with the security guard. Ultimately, the security guard was wounded and then killed outside of the mosque. They went back inside. Again, understand that the security guard had put out a lockdown protocol. The sound of the gunfire, all of the delay in that gun battle allowed everybody to get out of the main common areas of the mosque and into areas of hiding. So when they began to go through areas of the mosque, they were not running into more victims. As they began to move from room to room, some of the video surveillance shows that they're going into areas where thankfully nobody was at. Ultimately, you can see them look out a window. It's unclear as to whether they could see clearly through that window or not, but you can see one of them point to the window, and then they run out of a door right next to that window and immediately engage the two remaining victims outside in the parking lot. And I think that is a significant point for everybody to understand is when they drew, obviously inadvertently, drew the attention of those gunmen out of the door and out into the parking lot where they subsequently died. What was coming seconds away was hundreds of police officers that everybody that was there yesterday could see. They immediately ran to their vehicle and fled the scene at that point. And I truly believe that that's what saved the 140 kids that were just inside.
Chief, on critical time.
Yes, ma'am.
How did these teenagers get access to so many different types of weapons, and do you have any details to share about the weapons that they used in yesterday's crimes?
I can tell you at this point that the guns were not registered to these individuals and belonged to the parents of one of the individuals. And exactly how they came into, they were able to obtain them is still under investigation.
Chief,
yes, ma'am.
Given the fact that the weapons did come from one of the parents, will you be recommending charges against the parent in this case, or can you share an update on where you're at in that determination?
We're still looking into it. Still, we're 24 hours out.
Chief,
We're still looking into it completely.
Chief, can I ask you, I know you've read the writings. I know you're limited in what you can tell us. We were told before it was hatred towards everyone. Can you give us an idea of maybe a bit more of what the writings contained? And also, do you believe that the students in these two schools were the specific targets? Is that who these gunmen wanted to kill?
Repeat the last part of that question.
They ended up at this Islamic Center, which has the two schools. Were the students their main target, you feel? Did they want to kill students?
So we're still trying to gather a bigger picture as to exactly what the intended target location was. I'm going to bring Mark back up here to talk a little bit more about maybe what some of that rhetoric was. But we're still looking into exactly what that scope of threats, that threat picture was.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So I can confirm there has been a manifesto that's been recovered. I would reiterate it's early on in the investigation. We are dedicating every resource the FBI has to conduct a thorough analysis of that manifesto to try to learn what led to this, but I think also more importantly, how can we stop future attacks? So I know there's a lot of questions related to this on the community. What I would just continue to reiterate is they didn't discriminate on who they hated. It covered a wide aspect of races and religions.
More than just the Islamic people in that church.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
But Special Agent, they nevertheless, in a city that's majority white, specifically picked out a site where they knew would be immigrants, where they knew would be Muslims. That doesn't seem to suggest respectfully that they hated everybody equally.
I would say we're still too early in the investigation to say that the Islamic Center of San Diego was the specific target. We are assessing and analyzing all the evidence. Again, it's very early. We're still looking through electronics to give us the answers. But again, what I can say is they definitely had a broad hatred towards a lot of folks.
What have you learned from
Are you aware of the suspects live streaming the attack or their own death?
I'm aware of that information, and again, not a lot I can share at this point because we're actively going through those electronics. We just recently got search warrants in place, so we are digging into that as aggressively and as quickly as we can.
To the extent that you're able, can you characterize their deaths?
No, I can't really. I apologize. Yeah.
You mentioned that they were radicalized online. Can you talk more about that? Is that going through their computers, their laptops, their phones? What can you tell us about that?
We're still going through, again, all that information, but what we do believe is that they met online, and through the course of that online communication, they discovered that they were both residing in the San Diego area, and they became acquaintances or associates and had in-person contact at that point. But in terms of how the radicalization occurred, we're still digging into all that.
I know that you got a call yesterday from one of the suspects' mothers. Have you been in touch? How much have you been in touch with the other suspect's family?
I want to be sensitive with what I share at this point. We are getting a lot of information from a lot of people, and so it's an ongoing. I know the community has a lot of questions, and we want to share and be as transparent as we can, but understanding we also have to be sensitive to the investigation and the victims and the witnesses we're talking with. So when the time is right, we'll absolutely share as much as we can.
Are you able to confirm which mother called the 17-year-olds or the 18-year-olds?
Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, we can. So the younger suspect's mom is one that called.
If I could I ask the imam a question?
Yes, please.
You talked about how the Islamic Center became far too familiar with receiving hate, and how you've taken all of these steps to protect the building, including hiring me. And the first question would be, how many years ago had you hired him?
Amin, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was hired sometime in 2019, 2020.
Quite some time.
Yeah.
It's also very clear by the actions that he took, immediately getting things on lockdown, that this was something that he and the center had planned for. Is this something that you had talked to him about?
Yeah. We do a drill, test every time, especially with the school. Multiple times every school year. So he knew about the system of notifying the teachers in their classrooms in case of an active shooter, and he just implemented what he knows about the system. So, yeah.
Surely when you're going through all those drills, though, you're not necessarily thinking it could be real.
Of course. I mean, as I talked to some of the teachers yesterday, they told me, our experience today, which means yesterday, was totally different than the drills that we have done before. So it's different.
But it sounds like a mean did everything.
But it worked, I mean, the lives of the kids were saved. The life of everyone in the school were saved. And we are so grateful for that.
And how are the victims' families doing today?
They are at shock. This morning they started showing up to pick up some stuff of their kids, and even also the teachers. Some of the teachers showed up to pick up some stuff from their classrooms. So they canceled, the Islamic school canceled school the rest of this week and next week, because next week is a great Muslim holiday, Eid al-Adha, the day of sacrifice. So for these, let's say 2 weeks, there is no school. So many families came to pick up their stuff that they left in the classroom. Yeah, but they're devastated. I mean, everyone stepped in tears.
Question for the chief, please. You were contacted, if I understand, at least 2 hours before the shooting, right? And you knew who the suspects were. You knew that they were carrying phones. I guess I'm trying to understand, with all the technology, all the cameras, cell phone technology, why weren't they found and stopped before this happened?
Well, let me clarify just a little bit of that. So we did not have a complete understanding of any type of connection between suspect 1 and suspect 2. We had the parent of suspect 1 calling, and as she's beginning to understand the circumstances surrounding her son's situation, and as she's beginning to provide that information to us, the details and information began to broaden our threat assessment and our understanding of what we were dealing with. And it went from a runaway suicidal individual to homicidal, potentially homicidal, two suspects. Yes, we were utilizing technology to try to get out in front of them, but this is all happening in real time. And we did utilize technology to try and do that, but you have to have certain cell phone information to be able to get the things we need to be able to go up on those cell phones, and some of that takes a little bit of time. But technology was utilized from the very beginning to try to get out in front of these guys. Yes, sir.
So, I've been to the center, and that usually doesn't open until about noon for the noon prayers. It seems like the suspect, one of them, lives in the neighborhood, so it seems like they actually knew what's going on. So it seems like the center was targeted at noon because of that. And second question is, for something like this magnitude, usually the search warrant didn't take as long as it did. So why was the search warrant took so long? I mean, we knew that the search warrant wasn't executed until late last night.
So the first part of your question, we're still completely under investigation. We're 24 hours outside of the onset of this incident, and searching through all of their social media, their phones, their computers to try to figure out what their plans were in totality is happening in real time as well. So more information will come in the days ahead. I think when we watch TV shows on how this stuff transpires, it's not that simple. A lot of information, very few facts. What goes into a search warrant has to be credible, verified information, making sure that we're filtering through rumors or assumptions or unknowns and getting to facts in the search warrant. So what we're presenting in front of a judge is going to be enough to get that approved. It takes time. And there was a lot of information, a lot of things coming together in real time in yesterday's event. And so
listening to this press conference on the murders that happened yesterday at the Islamic Center of San Diego. And boy, the leaders there have shared so much information just in this first 24 hours that they have learned about that horrible situation. And we heard from the mayor, the FBI, San Diego police, and the imam of the Islamic Center as well, who said that they are in mourning, that he's trying to support and show empathy for the families of the three men who were killed on their grounds, including the security guard, who by all means was a hero in this. I mean, the imam says that several times during the year they do drills. It's painstaking to know that our children, that our educators have to go through mass shooting drills, active shooter drills, but quite likely that is what saved those children and educators' lives, because having gone through those drills, the security guard, when he took on fire from these two teenage suspects who the leaders there said met online, realized they lived in the same area as each other, and both shared some of the same views, as the security guard took on these two young men, he hit the lockdown protocol, and so it put everyone in hiding. And so apparently there is video that these law enforcement officials have been able to see of these two young men going into the school. Remember, we saw children being escorted out. Okay, so they see two young men going into the school, going into the classrooms, looking for people to kill, as we would assume, right? And they see no one. But then look out of a window, see two people in the parking lot, and those become the next two men who are killed on that property. By that time, there's hundreds of law enforcement officers arriving, and so those two young men got in a vehicle and took off, and then took their own lives. So had it not been for that security guard initially who hit that lockdown protocol, 140 children were inside of that building. We saw them being escorted out, every single one accounted for and safe. So thank goodness for the security guard, thank goodness for the drills, and that it worked on this particular occasion. The law enforcement officials there saying that these teens were radicalized. They made sure to say they will not give their hate any credibility. They did 3 search warrants, seized numerous firearms, ammunition, tactical gear, electronics, a crossbow even. The firearms belonged to the parent of one of the teens, the younger teen. They had writings that had racial and religious views. In fact, they even said they're still trying to understand the exact target, trying to understand the full threat picture. They confirmed that a manifesto has been recovered here. They said anyone who thinks that they can end the world through violence is sorely mistaken. But what a timeline of events. And again, 140 children all accounted for in the end as they continue to put this picture together of a heinous event that took place that resulted in the lives of 3 adult males, including a security guard there at the Islamic Center of San Diego, the largest mosque in San Diego County. The imam said that school is canceled both this week and next week. That includes what has taken place, time to begin the healing process from what has taken place, but also an important Muslim holiday that will be in that time frame as well. So a lot of people still trying to understand all of this, and that does include the law enforcement community. Thank goodness for all of those law enforcement officials who came running toward the gunfire yesterday as well. They are continuing on taking questions. We're going to continue on with our conversations here on the show, so give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 2:40 right now. We're getting into a conversation that's really piqued our interest around here. Many of us love Fitbits and any type of wear that you can have that kind of tells you a little bit more about how your health is shaping up. But have you ever thought about a Fitbit for a dog? Would it be just as effective? More? I don't know. But we have called in the expert who might be able to shed some light on the idea. Co-founder and CEO of FI, Jonathan Bensamoon. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Anita. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about Smart Pet Tech, how you got in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I got into this business because of my dog Thor. I got him like maybe 9 years ago, and I decided to build a wearable for him.
And what did you find? I mean, how long did you put it on him, and what were the results?
Yeah, I think the first thing we did was building a GPS tracking devices, right? So this is a 5 color. This is the wearable, the first wearable that we built, and it has a GPS chip in there, so you can track anywhere your dog is going. And so the first thing I did personally was put it on my dog when he was going with his dog walker and make sure that my dog walker was walking my dog properly.
like
And
it.
then we started adding like the health metrics to the tracking and being able to register the number of steps that the dog is doing, how much the dog is sleeping, all of that, and more and more, you know.
Now, I mean, obviously, it should be able to tell you positive things, also maybe negative things, like, I don't know if there are some issues that popped up. Did you sense any of those?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, over the years, we obviously build more and more capability into the product. And so now the collar is actually able to detect when the dog is eating, when he's drinking water, when he's scratching his ears, for example. So if, you know, your dog develops an ear infection, most of the time he'll start scratching his ears more. Or, you know, we have some dogs who've been sent to the vet because they had like kidney issues, and you can detect that with like the drinking pattern of the dog, especially at night. So we're just learning a lot about the habits of these dogs, and we're just building technology to try to prevent bad things from happening to them.
Wow. So in your advertisement, I mean, are you saying this like improves the lives of dogs, extends the lives of dogs, or just gives you more information about how your dog is doing?
Yeah, well, listen, the first thing we try to do is keep the dog safe, right? Like the main function of the product is if your dog jumps the fence and gets out of your backyard, we'll alert you right away and we'll help you recover the dog before something bad happens to him or her, you know. And then we definitely try to at least give the owner the information regarding the health of the dog that allows them to decide, hey, do I need to take my dog to the vet, or is there something suspicious there, you know? Obviously, in the long run, we want to be more ambitious than that, and you know, we want to build something that extend the life of your dog because you have it and you're able to take better care of him, you know.
I don't want to ruin your future plans, but by putting them out there too soon. But are there some things you've already kind of trademarked as next steps?
Oh yeah, we're working on like tens and tens of different features and signals that we're trying to detect on the dogs. And you know, what's really interesting is that we're really the first to do this at scale. And so we are literally discovering insights about like how dogs sleep and you know, how often they eat, how often they drink. Like there is really no other way to track in detail how your dog is behaving at home. And so it's a fascinating domain we're opening, and we're looking forward to just learning a ton about the, you know, the living habits of these pets.
I mean, it's fascinating. How is AI used in this?
Yeah, so AI is used inside the collar, right? Like at the edge, as we say, on the collar, there is a little AI engine that runs and that measure every movement of the collar around the neck of the dog, and is now able to infer, you know, the dog eating food, the dog drinking water now, the dog is barking, all of these different behavior and signals. And then, you know, instead of just showing you charts about that information, what we now have is an AI layer that interprets all that information and is able to detect the changes in patterns, you know. So we're able to tell you, hey, your dog is actually not sleeping well this week. He's sleeping 20% less than he was over the past 2 weeks, you know. And that's something that usually you will need to kind of like look at the chart and put your analyst hat on to be able to infer that information. Now we have our own AI called Fire Intelligence that observes all these signals and let you know as soon as there is something that is suspicious about your dog.
And you talked about it sending an alert, like say if the dog jumps over the fence or something like that. Is that coming to our phones, our watches? I mean, is it like compatible with your technology to give you an alert that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll come to your phone or any of your family members' phone that you added to the account for the dog, and it can also come to your Apple Watch. We're compatible with the Apple Watch, so you'll receive a notification right there.
And I would assume, I mean, obviously we're still advocates of like microchipping your pet just in case they're loose, but this is like that plus quite a few other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we even have our own microchipping product that we give to charities and to rescues. This does not replace microchipping your pet, but microchipping your pet is really just putting a barcode under the skin of your animal, right? So like if your dog escapes, someone needs to find him, bring him to a vet or to animal control, scan the microchip, and then eventually contact you to come pick up the dog. It just sadly leaves a lot of time for the dog to get hit by a car or for something bad to happen. In our case, we alert you in the next minute that your dog is out of the house, and you just open your app and you can see the map and you can see your dog moving on the map, and jump in your car and go recover him right away. So it's just an additional level of precaution for sure.
And I'm a dog lover, and this was inspired by your dog, so we've said dog, but this would work for cats as well?
Yeah, actually, we released earlier last year this device, which is a smaller version of our collar that you can attach to any collar, and that goes on smaller dogs and cats as well.
Wonderful. Okay, let's talk pricing. How does this work?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Let's talk pricing. Is it a one set fee? Do you have to do some type of membership or something, or subscription, because you're getting that information for the long term? So how does pricing work?
That's correct. So it's a $99 every 6 months, and it includes the hardware. So you don't pay anything for the collar per se. You just pay for the membership, and you get all the software upgrades ongoing for the life of your membership. So we update the software that runs in the collar over the air, a little bit like your Tesla. It gets new updates and new feature every other week. And then we update, obviously, the software, the app, the information, and the type of behavior that we can detect from your from your animal.
Wow. Okay, so what are some stories that you've heard thus far that kind of say, man, we really did the right thing in creating this?
Oh my God, yeah, we have so many at this point. We had a dog who was literally buried alive under a pile of mud in the middle of the country, and the GPS was able to find signal from under the mud, and the owner was able to save the dog. We have a dog who has been kidnapped with their owner in a car and put in the trunk of a car, and we were able to send the location to the police to recover them. I don't know how many stories we have at this point. On the health side, recently we got a dog who ingested some chewing gum, and so when he went to the vet, it was very important for the vet to be able to pinpoint when he ate the gum to decide whether he was going to go under surgery or not. And with the information from the collar, they were able to pinpoint exactly at what time the dog ate the chewing gum and decide not to do surgery on him. So like all these different kind of like angles, and personally I'm using it all the time. My dog is a German Shepherd, so he has allergies, and so watching his trend of scratching, I can decide when to go to the vet for his allergy medication, and that's very helpful for me. So I think every other day we receive a new story of a dog being saved or some kind of health information that was helpful for an owner at the vet,
And you mentioned being the first. I mean, how large is this industry of smart pet tech?
Yeah, it's just emerging really. Like we started a few years ago. We have been in market for about 5 years now, and we're like below 1 million animals wearing these devices, and we're the leader in the category by far. So it's still very small. There are like about 150 million pets in the U.S. About 100 million dogs, 50 million cats. So it's very nascent, but it's growing very fast. And we think, as for humans, in the next 5-10 years, you're going to have 10-15% of animals out there wearing some kind of wearables for their owner to be able to properly take care of them.
Wow. And because we're dealing with animals, I have to ask, are these like, something that they could easily get off, would chew off, or can they go in water with these? What are kind of the guardrails here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Anita. Like we did a lot of work to make sure that these devices are fully waterproof so they can swim with them, they can chew on them, even though obviously we don't want them to chew on them too much, but we've reinforced the collar with stainless steel so that it can carry a lot of pressure. We protect the battery with silver plates so that like they can really be protected. Like there is a lot of things that you have to think about when you design something for pets, just in terms of safety. So yeah, we've been very careful with all the different aspects, and they have been on pets now for multiple years. So we learned a few things about how to keep these things in good shape.
Are you adding a camera or anything of that sort, like where people can have surveillance cameras around their homes to kind of see when they have babysitters, make sure that the babysitters are doing what they're supposed to be doing? Do you envision having a camera on the dog so you can see from their vision of things?
Listen, everything is possible. Nothing is off the table.
I love it. Oh my goodness, this is pretty awesome. I mean, when you said at scale, like, give us an idea of how many you've sold at this point in time. Where are you all sitting at this point?
Yeah, last year we passed 1 million units shipped.
Wow, that is impressive. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show to tell us a little bit more about it. It's mind-boggling to see how far we have come with all of this. And do you, before I let you go, do you wear, technology to tell you about your health? I mean, whether it's the watch or the Oura ring or whatever the case may be?
That's funny because I actually don't.
I thought so. I was like, something tells me I'm going to ask him. Something tells me he doesn't wear it for himself.
You're totally right, and the reality, listen, I know everything about myself, right? Like, I know I don't work out enough, Anita. I don't need a wearable to tell me that, right? But when it comes to my dog, I need to know how he feels, and I cannot ask him, right? So he has no way to tell me how he's feeling, if he's in good shape, if he was sick overnight or anything like that. So the wearable is much more useful for me, for my dog, than it is for me. I know I need to exercise more. My doctor agrees.
Wow. Well, your dog should be very happy that they have you as an owner, as a papa. Thank you so much for being here on the show. Really appreciate the conversation about this. It's super interesting.
Thank you so much.
All right. Something said he probably doesn't. Confirmation. It's 2:54, everyone. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and then I'll set you up for where we're going in our final hour of Chicago Live. welcome back everyone. 2:57 that we're coming up on right now. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things. We're starting off with how things look for the stock market today. Oh, yeah. Looked at this first thing in the morning and things were not going in the right direction. Obviously, I mean, for the sake of all of us, kind of hoping that it turned around before the end of the day, but we are minutes away from that and have not had any recovery into the green, at least into the positive territory today. We're down significantly here. So let's kind of go over the picture that we're getting about all of this that we're seeing. Okay, so stocks are falling today as a jump in bond yields threatens the bull market by weighing on the U.S. consumer, undermining the growth of technology stocks in particular. Obviously, the war in Iran is still a big part of what we are seeing here. The oil market, Strait of Hormuz. President Trump has said that any planned attack that he, thought would be taking place this week is canceled because talks are happening between the two nations, but no decisions have been made as of right now. And remember last week he said that the ceasefire is on massive life support in his words. So the S&P 500 slid 0.5%, the NASDAQ composite pulled back 0.7%. As you can see here, Dow Jones Industrial Average sitting more than 350 points down, just not in good territory at all, and reminding you that we really haven't seen much good territory thus far into the week. So one remains to be seen how the week will shift it, if it shifts at all, but there's plenty of room for it to shift because things have not started off well. The 30-year Treasury yield hit 5.198%, which is its highest level in nearly 19 years. All right. There's a series of reports last week, of course, showing inflation was revving back up, especially with the oil prices. So we've got a lot of work to do here when it comes to the stock market this week. Those crude oil prices. Let's see, West Texas Intermediate sitting at $107 a barrel, and the Brent crude $111 a barrel. So hold on, everybody. Stocks have been on a tear, hoping that things turn around, but I'm not seeing that as of today. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. So it's just about 3 o'clock. Want to get you up to date on where we're going in this final hour of Chicago Live for the day. We're going to talk about the Reskin Theater and the closing of the doors there. We're going to speak with a member of the society that bears the name of the architect that did so much in our area, but more specifically the Reskin Theater over 100 years ago. And so very sad day for those who have wanted to preserve it for many years. We'll also talk about the weather. I mean, even when I sat down up here in our 1 o'clock hour, the sun was shining, looked like things were turning around for the weather for the day, and now things are getting dark again. And so we'll talk with JD Rudd about that. We'll bring in Sloan Salerno, our 5 p.m. producer, to get us ready for the later shows. But we're starting in this 3 o'clock hour speaking about equity, or the mission for a more equitable Chicago, a landmark equitable transit-oriented development policy plan, or ETOD policy plan. And we have Juan Sebastian, the executive director at Elevated Chicago, who is joining us right now to tell us more about this plan, the policy behind it, where it is at this moment, and maybe where it's going. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Give us the background on this plan to begin with. What is the background?
Yes. So the city passed this ETOD, Equitable Transit Oriented Development Plan, 5 years ago, really with the goal of driving more equitable investment, more equitable development near transit hubs across the city, especially in disinvested neighborhoods in the South and West Side. prior to the plan passing in 2021, we looked at data and found that 90% of all transit-oriented development was concentrated downtown and along the north side. So this plan was really put together to address that.
So why was the location important, and why did these transit hubs become the specific areas to start with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. The work that we do at Elevated Chicago really is centered on recognizing public transit, the importance of public transit, the opportunity that transit gives and offers community residents to access, and the opportunity that also brings for more economic development and community development near transit. So really, it's building on the assets that we have as a city.
And when you say the south and west sides, where has it already gone, this development? Where have you all already started with it? Where are you working to get?
Great. So we've mentioned, we really focus on communities that are experiencing disinvestment and displacement. And so in the State of ETOD report that we released today, we took a step back and looked at some data from the city. We looked at the impacts of recent policy changes, like the Connected Communities Ordinance in 2022, to see, okay, where are we actually seeing development happening now that we've been on this journey implementing this plan. So we have a number of examples that we can point to of affordable housing developments near transit. A couple that come to mind are 43 Green, which now has two different buildings that are mixed income affordable housing development projects right off of the Green Line station. And another example is Fit City Commons in East Garfield Park. Both of those are the kinds of developments that were really the goal of the city's ETOD policy plan. And now that we're 5 years into the implementation of that plan, we're really excited to see a lot of the progress that's being made on those recommendations, and really just excited that we can actually see some of that translating now into on-the-ground real investments in affordable housing and community amenities in neighborhoods across the city. Of course, there's still room to go, and so the report also does lay out some recommendations for the future.
Well, let's go over the recommendations. I mean, where are the areas that you're seeing you need to address?
Yeah, so one of the gaps really that we're seeing where we still have opportunity for more equitable development near transit is on the far south side and also along the southwest sides. You can think along the Orange Line or even further along the Red Line and really into the future Red Line extension stations. So, we've seen some progress in having more development near transit in the south and the west sides, and we still have room to grow. In addition, some of the challenges that we still see that are deterring this kind of development include limitations in our city zoning code. We need also some more investment in affordable housing in these community-driven projects. One of the successes that we saw in the last several years was this one-time program, Elevated Works, which brought matched city grants with some on-hand coaching and technical assistance, really geared at making it easier for first-time community-rooted developers to bring their projects to life. So we also need to see some of those investments continue.
And you mentioned the red light extension. To your understanding, where do things stand? Because it was held up for quite a while in a funding fight.
Yeah. So just a few weeks ago, we celebrated the groundbreaking. The city celebrated the groundbreaking of the Red Line extension. And so from what I understand, we are moving full steam ahead with the construction of those long-awaited four new transit stations in the far south side. So that work is happening. The transit is being built. That access to transit is being brought to those communities. And from our perspective, from an ETOD perspective, that's a huge opportunity, and we need to match that investment in transit infrastructure with an investment in community development, in affordable housing near those future transit stations, so that when we get to the year that those train stations do open up, we've already done the work to lay the groundwork for more housing, more jobs, more businesses to be able to thrive right along all those corridors. And that's one way that we can really maximize the opportunity and the access that the Red Line extension is set up to provide.
When you talk about lots of different corridors, tie in what was such a big topic during the last legislative session, which was the Northern Illinois Transit Authority, or NITA. How does that work into this picture?
Thank you. Yeah, NITA is one of the other huge opportunities we have as a city and really as a region for building more walkable, vibrant neighborhoods near public transit. And that is because of NITA, we're going to be seeing a new $1.2 billion investment in increased service and transit reliability. Transit is going to become a more attractive option, a more reliable option for more residents across the region. And that means that we also need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we build and develop neighborhoods along those different transit hubs. One of the even more exciting aspects of the NITA legislation for Elevated Chicago, for us, is that NITA, this new regional agency, is going to have the ability to partner with municipalities to actually develop on transit agency-owned land for more affordable housing, for more community amenities, for mixed-use development. And so really, we're about to have a new tool, a new agency that is fully able and empowered to work with communities to build more equitable transit-oriented development.
Mm-hmm. And that's just weeks away from that happening. Tell me about, on a person-to-person level, what you all are seeing in terms of lives changed by this work. Like, what are you all actually seeing from, from a data standpoint of people being able to take advantage of this?
I love that question because it really gets down to the impact that drives our work. And so just to paint a scene for you, if you will, we've seen a lot of progress on ETOD near the Kedzie Lake Green Line station. If you ride the Green Line and get off at Kedzie, you'll walk out and you'll see the hatchery, which is a small business incubator right off of the Green Line station. Across from that is a vacant lot that is going to be developed into new affordable housing too. And you can just think about all the families and households that will be able to afford to live and have access to that Green Line train station because of that investment and development. If you walk further down the street, down Kedzie, you'll see Fifth City Commons, which recently opened up, I believe just last year, which also is providing more affordable housing options and has some beautiful public artwork that celebrates the neighborhood's cultural history too. So when you put all those pieces together, you can really see what the impact is in communities to have these investments and these policies that support more affordability, more walkability near transit, and ultimately make communities stronger, more livable, and give people access to jobs and other resources because of that transportation access.
A large piece of, we've talked a lot about transportation this week, and we had, the press conference with the state's attorney, Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke, and the acting president for the CTA, and the Cook County Sheriff's chief of police, as they were announcing their new regional task force for crime on the transit. Tell me, the things that you're talking about, they really don't work without addressing that aspect of it. So talk about how the city is trying to address these different things for the whole.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point that all of these pieces come together to really influence and drive how people are able to access and use our transportation, our public transit system. One thing I'll call out or note is that within the Northern Illinois Transit Authority NETA Act, there is also a good amount of funding that is dedicated towards improving safety. And what I find particularly exciting are some of those investments in community safety models, transit ambassadors, that kind of work that takes a more innovative and community-driven approach to promote more safety. Another layer of this also is how our city and our transit agencies are investing in activations near transit too. We're actually very excited at Elevated Chicago that we just launched a partnership with the Chicago Transit Authority and with the MacArthur Foundation to support more arts and culture activations, more placekeeping and placemaking efforts that also bring some more activity towards near transit stations, which also is a part of how we promote public safety overall.
Mm-hmm. Now, if people don't know about Elevated Chicago, before I let you go, just tell us more about what you all do, your mission.
Yeah, very happy to. Elevated Chicago, we work with communities to transform the places near transit into more walkable, vibrant, and affordable neighborhoods. We bring together leaders from different communities, different neighborhoods, and from across sectors, from government, civic, and community-based organizations. And really, what we look to do is promote this vision of equitable transit-oriented development. Our website is at www.elevatedchicago.org, and we're always eager and excited to welcome more people into this movement that we're building.
And Juan, what does this movement, what does this progress mean to you 5 years in?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's really, I think to me it really just shows the power of collaboration and of what is possible when you bring together public leaders, city council members, advocates, and community-based organizations to really make real improvements in everyday access and opportunity for residents across Chicago. So I'm really proud of the work that we have been a part of, that we've contributed to, the progress that we've contributed to with all of our city partners, our community partners. And Chicago has become a leader in the nation on promoting ETOD. And that is only going to continue if we're intentional about the advocacy that we do, the policies that we build, and the investments that we choose to make as a city. And so I'm very honored to be a part of all of this work too.
Juan, thank you so much for being here on the show today. We really appreciate it. Please keep us updated on how things go for the next 5 or more years.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it too.
All right, take care. Just about 3:15, everyone. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to try to bring in our 5 p.m. producer so we can find out what they are feverishly working on downstairs. right, 3:17 right now. Let's check in with Sloan Salerno, our 5 p.m. producer, and find out what they're working on down there. Hey, Sloan.
Hello. So
All
we've got a lot of good stories coming up. I'll start with Tia's story. So she is talking to this man who was pushed by a bouncer. This happened outside of, it's called Family Den Lounge in Stony Island. He was celebrating his 54th birthday, and there's video of all of this. You see him getting pushed into the sidewalk, which is under construction. People say it's been like this for a year. There's like a big divot missing in the middle of the sidewalk, and there's 2 high ledges on each side. And you see him just fall back and hit his head. And so he was knocked unconscious. He's had, Tia talked to him today, but he's still in rough shape, doesn't remember a lot, including why he was even pushed in the first place. He has stitches in the back of his head. He bit part of his tongue off. And so the security guard has been fired. But there's more questions to see, why has this been left like this? There's nothing to prevent if someone just tripped and fell and hit their head in there. And so she's trying to get answers from the city on that.
Sloan, I saw that video online, and I'm surprised that the man is able to speak.
Yes.
He was out cold.
And and you can just see there's such like a high, from where the sidewalk divot is to where he hit his head. It's crazy. It's almost like a curve just in the sidewalk.
Very scary stuff. Is he suing?
Not sure about that yet, but Tia, gave him some grace today because obviously, this all happened Sunday, so he's still getting his bearings. And so, she'll have all of that at 4 and 5 that we'll hear all that about.
And I'm assuming she also got a statement from this bar as to why he was being thrown in the first place.
Yes, the statement did say that guard has since been fired, but it doesn't say, what really led up to the event that happened. And so I guess it's just something that we'll have to work and find out later. And then we have Joni so that Northwest Indiana gambling ring. One of the alleged bookies in it, his name is Alexander Gagiana, as they call him, Alex Euros. He is out on bond right now, but the government is trying to get him detained. They say he's a safety and a flight risk. And in the filing, prosecutors accuse him and the ringleader, who, Jimmy the Greek, that they used code from the movie called The Irishman to discuss murder. So they're claiming that they use terms like painting houses, that's code for contract killing in the movie, carpentry work, which is code for getting rid of a dead body. And so they're saying that they were using all these terms like, he's up to something clearly more nefarious than being just an alleged bookie. Like he should be behind bars until trial at least. So she's digging into all those documents. She'll have all of that.
Yeah, I haven't watched the movie, but I'm thinking those are all things that make it really hard to prove otherwise in court.
Yeah, you could argue and just say that we're just talking about, painting houses or whatever the term is. So it'll be interesting to see how the government is able to convince that is actually what they were talking about.
Okay.
And then we have Leslie. So there are allegedly rats taking over a neighborhood in DuPage County. So this is Pine Grove Avenue. This is unincorporated Bensonville. And apparently it started at one house that apparently rents out rooms to people. But now the rats are everywhere. They're going into other people's houses. They're in the yards. Play spaces are gone. They're saying it's so bad that they are keeping their kids and pets inside. They're like, we have to lock ourselves in our house. We don't want to go outside. It's a safety hazard. There's, rats everywhere apparently. So that's, she got the fun assignment of going to check out the rats today.
Right. Now, I would wonder, have they reported it to the city? Is there something the city can do? Like even from a standpoint of trying to set something up around everyone else's homes, even if this home doesn't want anything, or I don't know.
They're saying the county hasn't done anything.
Okay.
And so obviously Leslie is going to confirm that, reach out to the county and hear what they have to say. And so we're waiting for her to hear back from them on, is this true? Why has nothing happened? Is this sometimes their hands might be tied. It might just be, whoever owns the house, it's their responsibility to deal with all of the rats.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. It, stinks when you're the neighbor and you've done nothing wrong, and how there's rats invading your house.
They need to get in contact with those folks. I can't remember which neighborhood or which village it was that was doing the rat.
Oh, the birth control. Yes, they should.
They need to get in contact with those folks.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, they should.
Yeah.
And then Brett is on all the Bears Stadium saga again. So the NFL owners meeting in Orlando's today. The plan is to discuss the Bears' future. Reportedly, we've said it's just Hammond and Arlington Heights are the only sites they're considering. And he's looking into another angle that the Hammond site, which is the Wolf Lake site, allegedly it's a site of like there's human waste and just other waste there. And so, the question is, have the Bears known this the whole time, and are they just kind of using it as leverage to get Illinois to, give them what they want to stay in Illinois? So that's his angle on it today. And so that'll be interesting to, see what comes of that.
Preparing to clean up the property and make it better than it's ever been.
And then Terrence, so a beauty school in Chicago, they're getting help from Beyonce. So her brand Sacred and the Be Good Fund, they give $250,000 to, I think it is 10 schools around the country. And so one of those schools is in Chicago. It's the Dudley Beauty College. They get $25,000. And so Terrence talked to the owner of that school and their deputy director of operations, what they're going to do with this money, what it means, everything like that. And so that'll be great. And Terrence says he uses Sacred and he swears by it.
I do
it's
too.
Great.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But what I love is that in a bigger way, more than just the one brand, is how that Be Good, how the foundation really takes time to bless different schools in different ways. So even when she has had, and Beyonce has had concerts here, the blessings that they have left with people here during the time that they're here, but the things that they do when we're not even seeing her on a stage. I love that as well.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Yeah. And then I'll do 2 quick Across America stories, obviously.
Of course.
And so one is kind of crazy. So there's this congressional candidate in Michigan, and she's going viral because she uses her social media, and she does a lot of dancing, twerking to try and get people to vote for her. Her name is Shelby Campbell. She has hundreds of videos showing off her dance moves, her thoughts on politics. And our sister station in Detroit actually talked to her and asked her about it. And so we'll hear from her and her reasoning for it. And so that's an interesting one. And then in Texas, there's a company, it's called Colossal Biosciences. And they've been in the news before. They're the ones who are trying to bring back extinct species. So they did that thing with the long-haired mouse, woolly mammoth, all that stuff. And so they're saying that they've hatched live chicks in an artificial eggshell. And so they're saying the point of this is that they could use the new technology to scale it up and genetically tweak living birds to resemble, for example, this extinct bird from New Zealand that apparently those eggs were 80 size the size of a chicken. So they're it'd be hard to have a modern bird do that. So they're saying they could use these artificial shells. And so it's very much Jurassic Park vibes from that.
Yeah, well, not everyone made it to the next Jurassic Park from one episode to the next.
Yeah, that's true. So you have all that stuff coming up.
Those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. What are you most looking forward to?
I think the rat story. Again, I love an animal story. And I think it's just fascinating. I'm intrigued to see, the scale of it and how bad it really is.
It's fascinating because you're miles away.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Sloan.
Thank you.
All right. So those are the things that are coming up in the 4 and the 5 o'clock shows this evening. Plenty of things that they will be covering. We're going to take a 2-minute break, everyone. We still have weather ahead. As I mentioned earlier, the skies have kind of been doing a flip-flop. We've gotten some sunshine at times. It's pretty gray out there now. I'm looking out at people even as we speak. On one side of the street, I see short sleeves and sleeveless, and on the other side of the street I see jackets. So I'm kind of confused as to the full picture of what's going on outside just from my vantage point of what I'm looking at here. This is right outside of our windows here at the studio, right along Michigan Avenue, and yeah, I mean, you see some sleeveless, some coats. So temperatures were supposed to kind of be a little all over the place this week, but mainly warm. predominantly warm. But we've also had bouts of rain too that we've been contending with. So maybe those are rain jackets that I'm seeing in some instances there. So we'll talk more about it with JD Rudd once he comes up. We're also gearing up for our conversation about the Reskin Theater. We have talked so much lately about all of the things that are coming downtown. You know, that there's this revival of downtown, and we love to talk about it, love to see it. We need it for the city, right? I mean, we've talked about how the empty locations have caused the burden of taxes, property taxes, to be shifted, right? So we want more spaces filled. We want businesses thriving. We want all of those things. But unfortunately, one anchor that's been here for over 100 years is closing its doors. That is the Reskin Theater, and we're going to speak with someone from the society that really has all of the historical information on it. Looking forward to those stories of where it's been, but also this fight for possibly what its future could be. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. All right, 3:31, JD Rudd is in the house.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Awesome.
What did we say in the break? It's not
Monday. It's not. There's nowhere to go but up.
Well, it's not Monday.
It's not Monday.
You know, it's something.
You can't fall off the floor.
But I did wake up this morning and I was like, it did feel a little like Groundhog's Day when I looked out, and I was like, are we getting the same thing, or are things changing? And we flip flopped during the day. I mean, we started off pretty gray.
Yeah.
And then when I sat down here for Chicago Live in the 1 o'clock hour, the sun was out.
Yeah.
No longer there.
No, the clouds have come back, and the clouds are actually helping us out right now.
Oh.
The clouds are kind of putting a lid on a severe weather threat for today, which is good. We had a line of storms last night try to work its way this direction. They fizzled right before getting here. We had a few pockets of rain and thunder, but now it's just been this off and on cloud cover, which is great. It's one of those times where the less sunshine we see, that's better for us because that lessens the instability in the atmosphere. The cold front has technically already kind of moved through. It's passing through the area right now. I am seeing a line of storms start to fire up across Michigan and central Indiana. I don't think we're going to get anything at this point.
Oh, okay.
But we'll keep our eyes peeled just in case, because it is still warm. It is still a little bit on the sticky side.
And windy, as we could see from our
yeah.
2800 camera.
That's the thing. It was always going to be windy today. There was no way around that wind. It was windy yesterday, windy today. That tends to go hand in hand with the warmer air this time of year. You have to have something you give up, and it's the wind. So if it's going to be warm, it's going to be windy.
Okay. So when we say warm, like where are we? And cold front.
Well,
where
today
are we?
we've seen temperatures in the upper 70s to right around 80, but now we're already seeing some cooler air filter into our northernmost locales up along the Wisconsin line. That's that cooler air spilling in behind the front. So here's how I'm going to couch this. If you go outside at about, say, 7 o'clock this evening, that is going to be warmer than it's going to be for the next 2 to 3 days.
Ooh.
Because most likely temperatures are going to hang in the low 70s by 6, 7 o'clock this evening. Tomorrow, the high is only 58. Lakefront areas even worse. Thursday, okay, 62, but that's only 4 degrees better than 58. It's not the 70s. We don't see the 70s again until we get to the weekend. And part of the issue for that is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's a persistent northeast wind. That's off of Lake Michigan. Lake waters are still chilly, so it's just pushing that cool air right into the area. Now, for those who are far enough away from greater Chicagoland, yeah, it's going to be a bit warmer.
Okay.
It could be 5, 7, even 10 degrees warmer than what you're seeing here.
Really?
That's the influence of the lake this time of year. But the good news is, holiday weekend's coming up. Memorial Day Monday. This is the earliest you can have Memorial Day on the 25th, and we're going to get it early this year. So it usually gets pretty toasty by Memorial Day. I'm going 80 on Monday.
Okay.
That's not bad. The weekend itself, 70 and 75, Saturday and Sunday. And here's the other thing I'm going to mention to jump into the holiday weekend forecast for a second. We don't have rain icons in here right now.
We'd like for you to keep them out.
I would love for it too, but I've lived in the area long enough to know it is not a Memorial Day holiday weekend nor a Labor Day holiday weekend without a chance of something, somehow, to roll its way through. So right now it looks dry, but if I could peel the curtain back and give you some inside baseball.
Come on.
There's a little warm front. That's going to give us that warmer air for Sunday into Monday, kind of hanging in the area. My worry is that warm front could be a lifting mechanism to maybe prompt a shower or a storm. It doesn't look to be concrete right now. I'm not sold on it, so I'm not going to put the rain icon in there. But at the same time, I know it's a 3-day stretch. People are going to be outside. They're going to want to go to a lake somewhere, just hang out, do something.
The beaches will be open, all of those things.
So.
I mean, in fairness, the observations, the commemorations that will be happening on Monday for the real reason why we, have Memorial Day, all of those things.
Yeah, and so I want folks to be aware that while it looks dry now, you know how it goes this time of year. There could be something that pops up. So as we get closer, we'll fine-tune things. But if you're already making plans, have a backup plan just in case. Maybe keep the umbrella on standby just in case. I don't foresee this being a sudden change where it's a full-blown weekend washout and oh my gosh, it's raining all day long No, it's not going to do that. Worst case, there'll be a storm or two that pops up Sunday and maybe again on Monday. But we'll get that fine-tuned and figured out as we get closer to Sunday and Monday.
And that Friday chance, I mean, is that just rain?
That's just rain as it looks right now because of how the cool air is going to be in place and lower humidity as well. I don't foresee thunderstorms there. It's just rain, and some of the indications suggest it might be early in the day Friday, the rest of Friday afternoon looking dry. But again, a timing shift of 6 hours, that's the difference between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So things can greatly change there. So we'll fine-tune that as we get closer to Friday.
Okay, let's broaden things out.
Sure.
You mentioned where they are seeing some issues that hopefully won't make it here. But what's the extent of the other things that are out there?
Right now, there's a big line of storms trying to develop between about Michigan and central Indiana. It's going to push east. It's not going to come our direction. And for the first time in about 4 nights now, maybe 3 nights, we're not seeing a big nasty line of storms across the Central Plains. That's what happened last night and the night before. It was that activity that developed and moved our direction. We got hit hard Monday, didn't get hit hard this morning because that shower line fizzled out, which I was honestly a little surprised about, given what happened Sunday into Monday. I don't know why we didn't have the same thing, but what it looks like is the southern line of storms took more of the energy from the northern line of storms, so it kind of saved our bacon a little bit there. So, good luck down.
California.
Oh my goodness. Where to begin? It is a mess in California,
Yeah.
to say the least. It is heartbreaking some of the things that are going on. It just goes to show you, too, I mean, we get stuck in our own bubble so many times, and we worry about what happens here, what goes
Yeah.
on here, and we moan and groan about, oh, I got too much rain, or
Yeah.
oh, it's too cool, oh, it's too this. Then you have areas like this that it seems like it's all the time. Like every month, every year, we're seeing this.
Yeah.
Also keeping in mind, yes, Chicago is a big city. We got a lot of people live around here. There's a ton of people live in California.
Yeah.
And this is impacting a lot of people. People who move to California because it's near the beach, because it's Hollywood, because it's this, and they want to start a life there and do these things, and now things happen. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and I remember last year during the wildfires, I'll bring up two things. One, I remember last year, during the wildfires last year, there was a story that I watched about so many people who could no longer get insurance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking now we're looking at,
Yeah.
and people are evacuating again,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh man.
In some regards, it's similar too around these parts with flooding, and there's so many times you can't get the extra flood insurance because it's just you've cashed it in too many times. So it's the same deal there. You can't get. What do you do?
Yeah.
Like how do you do it? Like how do you have a home? How do you go
Yeah.
anywhere when you know that if something happens, it's just
Can't
gone?
insure it. Yeah.
Everything you have in that home, the home itself, sure, but
Gone.
the memories, the things
Yeah.
you have, the things you've spent your hard-earned money on, it just poof, gone. And I know you can't replace a life; you can replace things.
Yeah, there's
I
worse
get that.
things than losing
I get that.
possessions, but it's still hard.
Yes, it's very difficult, and
Yeah.
there are some of us who are very, very, for lack of a better term, materialistic in terms of, hey, this something means a lot.
Yeah.
This belonged to my grandmother, or this
Yeah,
is something from my childhood, this
absolutely.
is something I'm hanging on to, this is this prize that I
Yeah.
won, something that means a lot, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Just like that, and it cannot be replaced.
Yeah,
That's
it's
tough too.
really tough to watch. And I honestly thought that, like yesterday, when we started taking some images from the fires out there, and we said zero containment, even though, yes, we've seen these scenes before, I was thinking that there would be some progress by today. The only thing that progressed were the flames.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you only have so many guys that can fight the fire, so
Yeah.
many men and women that can do this. You only so many infrastructure, vehicles, and whatnot. And it's hard to get to some of these places. Keep in mind, we're kind of spoiled around here, generally speaking. It's a lot of flat land, and we
Yeah.
can get to it pretty quickly.
Fair point.
You got mountainous areas, you got steep terrain, there's only a trail to get there. You
Yeah.
can't put a big honking fire truck on there to get water where it needs to go. You can only airdrop so
Yep.
much water at a time. That costs money, by the way. You got to fly and
Yes.
pay. There's all these things that go into it, and
Yeah.
it's just it makes it so difficult. And I know to parallel off this, like there's sometimes up in northern Canada where there's hardly any population. Wildfires go and they just let them burn because there's no they can't get to them.
Uh-huh.
They can't do it. And so it's similar in some parts of California. It's almost impossible to get to. And by the time you do, the fire's now spread somewhere else, and now you have to fight that.
Yeah, it was like 80 acres yesterday, and today, thousands.
Yeah.
You're in the thousands now, and the containment's still not there as we take this look from Fox 11, our sister station in that area, from their helicopter that's up. You've seen all of these aircraft, the planes that have gone up trying to drop water, retardant on the area to get these flames out, but still so much work to be done. And I think, at one point I saw there were like 500 firefighters from all over the state that have come in. The other thing that I was going to mention was just with this fire, I saw something last night where someone was saying, we used to have like wildfire season. Like, is there a season anymore?
Seemingly not in some parts of the country because it's inherently dry all of the time. And there's just so much stuff out there burning, and it's hard to contain it. It's hard to get crews to sign up that want to do this. You can't have the same person working 24/7.
Yeah.
So we've got 500 firefighters out there, but they can't all work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You've got to get more. But if you want those people, they're going to want to get paid. It's tough. It's a cycle. It's very tough to get this done. And things spread so quickly. And let's be honest with this too. Some of these things are naturally caused. A bolt of lightning can spark a wildfire,
Right.
but sometimes
like what we saw in Florida, it was a bolt of lightning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other times it's just human carelessness.
Yeah.
Between fires, cigarette butts, burning, or accidents. You're grilling somewhere, a flame gets away. It can happen quickly.
Yeah, it really can. Sad situation out there. Just hoping that they get some kind of containment very quickly before more homes burn, and definitely without a loss of life for either the residents that live in the area or any of the first responders
that's the
who
biggest
are
thing.
out there trying to help out. So thanks so much for coming
Of
up.
course.
We know you've got lots to talk about coming up in the 4 o'clock
Yes.
show, so we'll let you get back downstairs and
right.
get ready for it.
Sounds good.
Give us 2 minutes, everybody, and we'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 3:47 here, and we've spoken so much about the things that are coming to the downtown area. It's hard to see one that is closing up, and there is a lot behind this. So we've brought in the executive director of the Benjamin Marshall Society, Jane LePeau, to tell us more about the historic Reskin Theater and them closing their doors. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, there's just so much to say. I don't know how much I have to say about the history of the Merle Reskin Theater, except that it was designed along with the Blackstone Hotel in 1908, 1910, and it hosted many famous actors and from Hollywood, very many, too many to name, but it's been the only theater actually that Benjamin Marshall built, and he built about 4 theaters in Chicago, 5 theaters maybe, including renovations of certain theaters. And it was the only theater that was left standing. And I'm just so sorry to see DePaul let it go, because Benjamin Marshall was such a huge celebrity in Chicago. And I think it's a feather in the cap of DePaul to have that theater still standing by Benjamin Marshall, who is finally being recognized again after being the most celebrated architect in Chicago during the 1920s. So there's a lot to say about Benjamin Marshall. There's a lot to say about the Blackstone Hotel, which was the tallest building in Chicago when it was built it opened in 1910, and it received the Chicago AIA Award. And I think that part of that was due to a recommendation by Daniel Burnham. Actually, Marshall was an acolyte of Burnham's and fulfilled the City Beautiful movement that the plan of Chicago was all about, actually, and actually based on the plan of Paris of 1853. So it makes me very sad to see that this theater is going to be sitting there, and I'm not sure what it's going to do. At least it's landmarked, so I'm assuming it won't be torn down. And, I just think it's just so sad for DePaul to lose this wonderful, this incredible, storied theater, and especially as Benjamin Marshall is being recognized again, finally, with the city's designation of East Lakeshore Drive as Benjamin Marshall Way, because in fact he designed East Lakeshore Drive, he started it, he built most of it, including the Drake Hotel, and so there you go. It just is, the timing is terrible.
Wow. Now, do you see the timing as like just a turning of the tide, or what went wrong for this not to be saved?
Well, I think DePaul, as in so many universities and different, I would say non-for-profits, DePaul is not, but in non-for-profits today in the arts, culture, architecture, they're losing their grants and their support from the state and of course from the federal government most especially. So I think it's just one other crack that is happening all over the country, really.
Has there been any talk about what it could possibly, I mean, you mentioned the landmark, so there's only so much that can happen to it. Has there been any talk about a future for it, what that could look like?
Well, I have heard that there are some talks, but I don't know what's going on, to tell you the truth. I have heard that there have been talks, or there are ongoing talks about it. But I mean, First of all, it can't be anything but a theater, because if you look at the interior of it, and I don't know if you've been there, but the interior is totally intact. And certainly with upgrades over the years, but it just looks like a theater. It couldn't be anything else. The proscenium stage and the way the seats are spread out in a half circle, and it's red velvet and very, very Maximes of Paris. So yeah, I'm just hoping that things will come around again. I don't know what to say. I mean, theater groups are suffering all over. So, I'm hoping that it will be revived as a theater. I will certainly do everything I can to talk to people about it and see what we can do as the society to promote it.
Yeah. You mentioned there were many, many stars that came through those doors. Give me a couple good stories.
Well, I know that, actually, I get kind of mixed up with all the theaters that he did because he had so many stars. Literally, Sarah Bernhardt starred in one of his theaters. He built about 10 theaters across the United States, including New York, Los Angeles, and those two have been demolished. Most of them have been demolished, sadly, but to make way for condominiums and apartments. But yeah. Not the Barrymores. Drew. Yeah, I believe the Barrymores starred there. I may be wrong, but I think so. There's just, I'm so sorry. There's so many. Benjamin Marshall built his huge mansion studio in Wilmette across from the Baha'i Temple, and he entertained every star you can possibly imagine there, including Charlie Chaplin and Houdini and it just went on and on. There was just the Adele and Fred Astaire, just a million of them. They were all over the place, and in fact he was friends with all these people. They say that Hollywood started in Chicago on Hollywood Avenue, Hollywood Street, and it moved to Los Angeles. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that in the early 1920s, that's where all the movie studios were, in Chicago.
And then did Mr. Marshall have like a particular style in building all of these places?
Yeah, he was very influenced by French architecture, Louis the 15th and Louis the 16th mostly, and that was the kind of stuff the kind of styles that he did. He was a classical Beaux-Arts architect, very into French design, and his maternal side was French. His grandmother was of French origin, and his grandfather was from Paris, was French. So he did a lot of empire, Second Empire as well, period stuff. But the interiors were mostly the Louis.
Well, maybe another school or maybe some other kind of way it can reopen someday. Please let us know if something else comes about.
I will keep you posted. Absolutely. It will make news. But I'm so glad that we're doing this and that you're doing this, and to shed light on this theater, to shed light on Benjamin Marshall. With his 3 grand hotels, the Blackstone, which is right next door to the Merrill Reskin, because of course the Merrill Reskin used to be the Blackstone Theater. So with the Blackstone Hotel, the Drake Hotel, the old Edgewater Beach Hotel, which is no longer, he made Chicago into a destination city. And of course, he designed East Lakeshore Drive. He's often called the father of the Gold Coast. So I'm very excited that we're talking about Benjamin Marshall and his work.
I
There you
love
go.
to learn something new every day. Thank you for shedding some light on some history for the city.
Well, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Give us 2 minutes, everyone. We'll be right back. Well, thanks so much for being here with us, as always, for another day of Chicago Live, everyone. We certainly hope that we will see you right back here tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m. online.
Anything when you were going because your parents wanted you to go. You still learned. Did you? I learned plenty. Did you? I learned plenty, I think. No?
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
There are 4 rats suddenly everywhere in one suburban village. What officials promised and the one thing neighbors want to see happen next.
A defendant in the gambling case quoted a mob